Hi, welcome to Farm World once again. I believe at some point of the time, that person is from the medical or from the pharma field, still get confused with this statement like first track approval, breakthrough therapy, accelerated approval, priority review. These are commonly seen whenever there's some news related to a new drug. So we will break the myth and try to understand these common statements with examples and much simpler way. So these are some of the news track related to that about the fast track approval and other things. For example, this Ross product, it is a COVID-19 means drug. So this Actemra, Ro Actemra, so they get a priority review. This got a priority review here. This Pfizer's respiratory syncytial virus vaccine. So they get a breakthrough therapy, and this is a celiprolol granted FDA breakthrough therapy for Ehlers-Danlos syndromes. So there hardly we have any drugs for these conditions. Similarly for the respiratory syncytial virus. Again, here you can see the COVID-19 oral treatment. So they got a fast track designation, and this is the infamous drug, or you can say famous drug that is being approved for Alzheimer's. So this has got an accelerated approval. So if you see the way it is being approved, it has changed drastically to read during our college days that how a drug is being approved. So previously it was seen that it normally takes like it was said it would take around 8 to 12 or it's like around 15 years to get a drug to be in the market from the initial stages, like the preclinical stage. Here we like 2.2 to 5 years, preclinical testing 1 to 2 years, clinical trials which range from phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So it is like 9 years, and then FDA also takes a long time, like 6 months to 2 years. It still normally it's still followed that way only, but again, no company, no sponsor would like to invest in a molecule like to wait for like 10 to 15 years to get it approved. So they are trying in a different way, I can say, so that they can get approved much earlier. So we can discuss those ways in our next subsequent classes. But today we'll try to figure it out of how exactly through a fast track designation, etc., get helps the drug to get it approved much quicker. So first we start from accelerated approval because as the name suggests, accelerated, so it is a quicker approval. The drug will be approved and it will be a market. So this accelerated approval program, it was there since last two to three decades back, and it allows for early approval of drugs that treat serious conditions. So the conditions should be serious in nature and that fill an unmet medical need based on a surrogate endpoint. Now, this surrogate endpoint, it is important because for any clinical trial, whether it's a phase 2 or phase 3 clinical trial, it cannot um, reach the very hard endpoint. For example, in a oncology trial, the surrogate endpoints are progression-free survival, and the hard endpoint is death. So in that case, to reach that hard endpoint, it will take a long time. So based on the surrogate endpoint like progression-free survival, tumor-free survival, in that case, they show that okay, my drug is better than whatever placebo the person that the patient is having, and just try to give me the approval. And this is a very serious condition, and we have to do something for the patient. So on that theory, generally FDA has such program, and ultimately a drug get approved. So here the definition of surrogate endpoint. So it is a marker such as laboratory measurement. We can take an example of HbA1c also for diabetes. Radiographic image, or you can say physical sign or other measures that is thought to predict clinical benefit. Okay, so you are decreasing the sugar level when we can ascertain by we can measure it by A1C level. So it has some clinical benefit, but it's not itself a measure of clinical benefit. So you are reducing the A1C, but I don't know whether it will reduce the incidence of diabetic retinopathy, or you can say death, cardiovascular death. So let's take some for example here the surrogate endpoint for diabetes as I have mentioned A1C. So here the clinical endpoints, the hard endpoint is the cardiovascular events, be it like myocardial infarctions and angina pectoris, heart failure also to some extent. Brain tumor. So a person is suffering from brain tumor. So this is a surrogate endpoint we like. I will do a CT scan or MRI and try to figure it out that how exactly the tumor has shrunken by giving the drug. So clinical endpoint is like overall survival. Again, it is the death, life and death thing. Whether the drug it really act for in a long duration of time, like 2-3 years, for exactly. It may reduce the size of the tumor, but it will may not save the patient. So in that case, this is the overall survival. That is a hard endpoint. Vaccine, the response, that is how much antibody it has produced. But again, the clinical endpoint is disease protection. Okay, you may have lots of anti-COVID antibodies, but it may not protect you from that COVID-19 infection. So in that case, that is how it measures. For glaucoma like intraocular pressure, it may you can reduce the intraocular pressure, but it may not help you to prevent the loss of vision. Hypertension again is the arterial pressure, that is the systolic and diastolic millimeter mercury. That is the surrogate endpoint, and the hard endpoint is the cardiovascular events in the long term, whether it can save you from any type of stroke or in case of heart disease. So this is the guy that is the FDA oncology shift aims to open up accelerated approval for earlier cancer treatment under Project Frontrunner. So this is a good news for the pharma world. So he has mentioned that let's move this drug up to an early disease setting as their first approval in randomized studies. So instead of waiting for like towards the end of the clinical trials like phase 3, so why not we go up into the ladder like in the phase 1 and phase 2 that in most refractory population. So it's a such type of drugs you can say may help in certain conditions like in phase 1 they can show some clinical benefits. So let's take a calculated risk and approve this molecule. So ultimately in accelerated approval program, before going to the first break, I just want to mention that if a drug has been approved based on this certain type of surrogate endpoint, they still have to prove that they will keep means they will perform well for the hard endpoint. For example, I just want to give you is known as bevacizumab. So it was approved for breast carcinoma in uh, last decade, and ultimately, based on the surrogate endpoint, that is the progression-free survival. But again, when the trial ends on the hard endpoint, it's shown that it has no clinical benefit as compared to the placebo. So ultimately, the drug was withdrawn. The approval was cancelled for breast carcinoma. So that is about the accelerated approval pathway. Now coming to the fast track pathway, as the name says, it's a fast track. Something is fast. So it helps to facilitate the development and expedite the review of drugs to treat serious conditions and fill an unmet medical need. Okay, again the word unmet, everything is unmet, and this is serious concern. That was accelerated approval was also serious and unmet medical need. So it is the sponsor has to request to the FDA that okay, our drug is unique and it will help the population, and that's why we want a first track approval. First, not approval, but designation. So what exactly are the benefits for the sponsor company? So more frequent meetings. So it is very difficult to get a meeting with FDA. So it helps once it became get a fast track designation. It helps to have frequent meetings, more frequent written communication from FDA. So it will help them a lot to design the trials. In that case, if they're doing something wrong. So eligibility for accelerated approval and priority review. So this is a boost for any pharma company, so they can get access to the market very early. Priority review is just like Mr. I will come to that, but it is just quicker review in the case after submission of the data. And there is another called rolling review. Means normally what happens that after the phase 3 trial, generally the sponsor has to submit their full documents about the clinical trials what they have done. So this is a lot of documents and it takes a lot of time. Okay, it may take 6 months to more than 1 year for the FDA to come back and say that okay, your drug is rejected or accepted. So in that case, if you get it fast track designation, you get a rolling review that once the phase 1 trial has been completed, okay, this trial has completed, we can submit to the FDA that okay, this is the trial data, just please review it. So it reduce the burden of the FDA as well as reduce the shortens the review time at the end. So the drug may come early to the market. So that's why these are the benefits of getting a fast track designation. Now there's another word called breakthrough therapy. People get confused between the fast track designation and breakthrough therapy. What exactly they are? So it is a process designed to expedite the development and review of drugs that are intended to treat serious condition. Again, it is a serious condition and preliminary clinical evidence. So this is where it's a little bit of different from fast track. Here it is mentioned the clinical evidence is necessary for a drug to get a breakthrough therapy. So indicate that a drug may demonstrate substantial improvement of available therapy on a clinical significant endpoint. So there is an endpoint that there's a trial that is being carried out. There is a significant endpoint, important endpoint, and the drug or vaccine or a biological, whatever it is, it showed some benefit in that case. So the moment it get a breakthrough therapy, again the sponsor has to go to the FDA and showcase the data and try to get the breakthrough therapy. So it gets all the benefits of fast track designation features, and also it has it's just like the intensive guidance on efficient drug development program beginning as early as phase one. So it helps. It's the same you can say as compared to the first track, but a little bit of different. And because it has to come after, means the timing is little bit of late as compared to the first track designation. Next, coming to the priority review, it is just a review. Normally, it takes like 10 months. So in that case, if a drug get a priority review, it will be reviewed within 6 months. So that is the best part of. You can save a lot of time for that. So comes under 1992. Here, FDA agreed to specific goals for improving the drug review time and created a two-tier system of review times: standard review and priority review. So if it goes to the standard review, will take time, and if it's a priority review, that is only 6 months. This is how the summary of what exactly we have discussed. If we come from this from the accelerated approval, so it is the serious conditions, unmet medical needs, approved based on surrogate endpoints, and it is when to apply for based on the efficacy and safety parameters. If we think that it's pretty good, go for it. Next comes the priority review, 6 months, not 10 months. So when to apply for with original BLA and DA and efficacy supplement. Okay. So if the drug doesn't get accelerated approval, so he will responsible try to get in a priority review in that case. Next is about the breakthrough designations, data based on clinical data. Okay, clinical and preclinical data. That's it. The thing, but mostly to the clinical data. So when to apply for with an IND or after, ideally no later than end of phase 2 meeting. Okay. Fast track designation to facilitate the development and expedited review of drugs to treat serious conditions, everything is serious, and fill an unmet medical need, database on clinical or non-clinical. Okay, if you're non-clinical data, which is early, you can go for a fast track designation. So with an IND, same thing, or after ideally no later than a pre-BLA or pre-ND meeting. That is pretty late. But here in the breakthrough therapy designation, you cannot apply after end of phase 2 meeting. So in the phase 2 meeting, you cannot go and say that, okay, I need a breakthrough designation. So this is about the difference between the four parameters. And one thing I like to say that if a drug get an approval, like based on this mechanism of actions, or you can say unmet need, like fast track designation or breakthrough designation, other drugs in the same class may also get those things, because it's not like that only after the approval of a drug, not only accelerated approval, but complete approval of the drug, then only the other class of the uh, so the molecules of the same class will not get the such type of designation. Till a drug that is, for example, ceritinib is a drug is an oncology drug for lung carcinoma, specific type of lung carcinoma. So it was the first in the class, and it got fast track designation, etc., breakthrough designation, and it got accelerated approval. But same molecule, different molecule of the same class also got those designations as well as accelerated approval. So it will be keep on going, getting this approval unless and until one of the drugs gets approved in that case. So this is a more elaborate description of exactly how the different they are. You can see here this fast track is the first one to be in the market. You can say I'm saying market. This is the breakthrough therapy, the last one, 2012. So priority review and accelerated approval got this came into under FDA guidance in 1992, both in 1992. So you can pause this video and try to have a look how exactly they are different. And with this, I'd like to conclude my session today. I hope you have liked it and understand the difference between fast track, breakthrough, priority review, and accelerated approval. If you like the video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.